Hey everybody, it's 9 o'clock and 9 o'clock is with me, Father Warner. We are in Wednesday of the 10th week in Ordinary Time. Our text is taken from Matthew chapter 5 verse 17 to 19, and I've entitled today's teaching, The Convenience of Making Inconvenient. So let's read the text first. Do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth will pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, my dear friends, a new preacher on the block, and in Bombay, this is the time when you get all your transfers, so you get a whole lot of new priests in your parish. And, a new preacher on the block always seems to generate a lot of interest, especially if the skill set of that preacher is right. Now, there are some who dwell with a hope, misguided as it may be, that if the walk looks right, then the talk will be right. Yet, as we know, walking the talk is not always what we get, and those who judge a book by its cover find page 5 hard to even turn. Now, for the Jews, Jesus was like that new kid on the block. They called him rabbi, some even called him the devil himself. They approached him the way they chose to perceive him. Like in our time, there are those who map the path of following the faith according to what they perceive as right. Some to the left, some to the right, some are called moderate, and some not at all. Yet Jesus did not come to divide but to unite us. His prayer in the Gospel of John was that they may be one. Even more, he did not come to show us ways to the Father, for he is the only way to the Father. So while Christianity has room for expressions of the faith, the core of the faith cannot be expressed any differently than the way it was given to us by God himself. And Christ is emphatic. He says, I have not come to abolish the law or the prophets. Perhaps those who heard him and heard him speak with authority assumed that he was here to meet their brand of faith. On the flip side, there were those who could not swallow what he said. We know that they called his teachings intolerable when he preached on the Bread of Life discourse. And perhaps they even tried to tarnish his name with their whisper campaign. That's why he says, do not think I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. Because perhaps there were people saying, oh well, this new rabbi on the block is here to demolish our faith. So when it comes to the core of the faith, Christ does not want us to imagine. I'm using that word deliberately because Jesus says, do not think or do not imagine that I have come to abolish the faith. Yeah? For the faith, our faith is not up for any sort of interpretation except that which the Father has willed it to be. The law of God may seem inconvenient to some. It may be out of step for others, or even more, may appear imposed from above. Whatever may be our imagination, Christ is clear. Not one dot, not one stroke shall disappear from the law. Jesus clarifies his position for the misguided. He says, no infringements are permitted. I want you to think about it. Think carefully, because if someone infringed on your property, you would use the might of civil law to push them back and to push them out of your property. Now, we who don't let an inch of our earthly property to be infringed on have a greater duty to fight back any infringements on the laws set by God. Why? Because the laws set by God protect our heavenly home. So, not only are we to defend the faith vigorously from elements external and internal, we are also called to teach the truth of God in sincerity. In the sermon on the Mount, Jesus is laying down the demands of discipleship. That's what he's actually doing, telling you what discipleship is all about. Now, discipleship has consequences, and Jesus is clear that there will be some disciples who violate the laws of heaven and the teachings on discipleship. And he says very clearly they will face the consequence of being, as we are told today, least in the kingdom of heaven. Yet, for those who keep them faithfully, every dot, every precept of Christ, these will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Now, the translation of this word great in Greek is the word mega, from where you get the word magnificat, yeah, to magnify. So it is as if Jesus says, I will shout out, if you keep my law, every dot, every iota, I will shout out your name. I will proclaim your name to everyone because you have followed the laws of discipleship in the Beatitudes and you have kept the law of God to its letter. So perhaps, my dear friends, today would be a day to check how many dots and strokes in our lives have moved out of place. And even more, if we are teaching those around us to break the law of God because it is inconvenient to us. I hope this reflection has helped to strengthen your faith. I'll see you tomorrow, but till then, like this video, leave me your comments, share this video with your friends and to all of you. And I say this most sincerely from my heart for your kindness towards our home in Goa, in Nuve. Thank you. On behalf of the children, I thank you. God bless you.